Here's the agenda. I'm going to also try to keep about 20, 25 minutes for questions, which we'll handle at the end as you see the whole picture. So what I'm going to cover basically is the allure of frameworks. There's actually a lot of good things about them. Many companies have great success with them. Many companies kind of get stuck with them. And I'll talk a little bit about that. We want to understand why you get stuck. It's actually inherent in framework design. And I hope to make that clear, because when you are clear of it, there are ways to get out of it. And that doesn't mean dumping what you've done. I hope that's clear. I'm not saying you've got to abandon a framework you've done, but you do want to eliminate the limitations that they may provide for you. There's also a dilemma anytime you're starting some new way of working. We need to understand that. And there's a lot of talk in Agile about simple, and people talk about less is simple. And I actually don't agree with that. There are different kinds of simple, and it's important to understand the different kinds of simple. And some things that look simple actually make things tougher. So we'll take a quick look at that. Then I'll talk about the different ways of getting out of framework prison, in a sense. And these are things you could, of course, do by abandoning the framework and going to something else. But it also are things you can do by taking advantage of what you've done in the framework, building on that. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And then finally, I'll close with a way to shift the perspective to where frameworks maybe aren't even needed. Well, I know they're not, but I'm not going to do this as like a sales pitch for DA, disciplined Agile, but just the theory of what you can look at besides frameworks to move you forward. I will be talking about that during the talk, but I think this 10-minute end of shifting the perspective will give you some interesting ideas, and it's worth doing. Okay, so here we go. So what's the allure of frameworks? Okay. Well, first of all, they provide a clear starting point, and that's nice because people can basically know how to start, know how to work, and actually prior to starting them, they give you can see where you fit in. If you've ever seen the SAFe Big Picture, one of the things I notice people say about it is they say, oh, or they don't say about it sometimes. If you ask them, they might. But what they notice is, oh, this is where I fit in. This is especially true for managers who sometimes are worried they don't have a role in Agile, and they do, and they should. In Scrum, you understand if you're a tester or developer, you understand the new relationship you're going to have on the team. It's a team. It's not devs and tests anymore. It's just a full team. This is useful because people get nervous about change at times if they don't understand it. I actually don't think we resist change inherently. I think we resist imposed change, and we resist change if there's fear. So this ability that a framework provides to show what people are going to do can lessen the fear, and it makes it easier to start. And this is good. Everybody's on the same page because you can look at the framework. When you're changing the way you're working, you're in a transition phase, and it's not always clear what you're doing in a transition phase. You know, it's kind of obvious when you're starting any new method, you're going to be a little confused. So the question then is, well, what are we doing? Are we doing what we're really doing, or are we doing what we want to be doing? So when you have the framework as a guide, that's useful and is something not to be discounted, because it means if you take away some of the framework, you have to make sure that you have this clarity present. You can't just take things away from frameworks and not do something that they were providing. If they were providing something good, you can't just stop doing something without providing that in a different way. That's an important concept. It's also an easy mandate. I've seen many companies where, like, an executive said, well, we're going to go Agile, so I'll go Scrum, go SAFe. People don't get fired for going Scrum or going SAFe. It's a safe, no pun intended, decision. I started my first job after university with IBM. This was in the 70s. And, you know, in those days, it was like we were Big Blue, you know, nobody got fired for picking IBM, even though there were better alternatives from a hardware point of view. Our marketing and our support were exceptional. So there were good reasons, but a lot of it was the safety. Okay, so this is why they're attractive. Well, they shouldn't be just attractive. They should actually provide us with something. And in fact, they do, okay? It does take less effort to start than getting something tailored for you. You just take it out of the box, no tailoring needed. there is some disadvantage to that, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can find people who are trained in the framework. This is good. It's easy to find people with frameworks because frameworks are kind of popular and they're all out there. That gives you a lot of training options. There's, in my opinion, I think most companies are under-trained. I'm not trying to sell training, actually. That came out wrong. I actually personally like coaching, which is a bit interesting because we, at the PMI, well, we don't do training ourselves. We have people who are certified to do our training and people who are certified to do our coaching. I kind of think of coaching as just-in-time training. And I don't mean coaching where you're standing back waiting for people to do things, but where you're actively engaged in making corrections. But you have lots of training options, meaning you've covered the scope, lots of coaching options. It often can get started with less training if you're looking at that from a time point of view. But that, again, is maybe you're not as well trained or coached or understanding as you should be. It's very often a good start that is a big improvement over current methods. Let me talk about this just for a minute. I'll talk about Scrum and SAFe. I'm not trying to pick on them, but they're the two most popular ones, and each one of them portrays some of these challenges. I think these are true for any framework. I think it's an inherent part of the framework, and we'll see why I'm talking about it that way. So frameworks shift how you think about things. But let me talk about the good start from a Scrum point of view. So when you do Scrum, one of the things that's part of the framework is you have cross-functional teams and you use iterations. And iterations mean there's a time block, like I'm going to do work out in the next 2 weeks. Now, over the years, as we've introduced Agile and Scrum into companies, one of the things I observed, I don't know, more than a decade ago, probably around 2006, 2007, was that if you had a cross-functional team that was co-located, cross-functional meaning you have all the skills to build what you need, and co-located, well, we're not doing that so much now in the age of COVID. But what's more important than co-located is what I'll call co-focused. It means everybody's working on this one thing. And we have tools to enable it. The fact that you're in different rooms virtual actually has some advantages over co-location. But it's really as long as you're focused. Well, what we observed, over a dozen years ago was that having the same team stable with all the skills, that would give you a 3 times at least improvement over teams that were coming together and being disbanded, didn't have all the skills, weren't co-focused or co-located. So a lot of Scrum's value is simply getting a team being able to work together that's stable. Of course, then if you do iterations and you follow Scrum, that'll be good too. And if you do technical practices, that's good as well. Now, as far as SAFe, you often get a very good start because you often in large companies just have a bunch of teams working and then trying to coordinate in an informal way. And SAFe's big room planning with a program increment brings at least the teams together from a one big picture, how are we going to work together, does a lot of really good things. So there's no question.
Hi there, I hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year, but if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.